MFA updates
Sawadika and welcome to MFA Update with me, Panik Nisha Grairek. This is a weekly program that focuses on Thailand's international affairs and activities. And today, we welcome His Excellency Mr. Lยาณะ Pratet, Ambassador of Thailand to Canada. He will inform us about Thailand's economic and investment opportunities in Canada. Very interesting, so stay tuned.
First of all, I just want to thank you for having me on the program. I'll be speaking on behalf of my colleagues at the Royal Thai Embassy as well as the Thailand team, Team Thailand in Canada today.
What is your view on the prospect of the Canadian economy?
On your first question about the Canadian economy, I can say, Canada is is a very large country, second largest country in the world, with a population of 39 million. However, the Canadian economy is the 10th largest in the world at the moment. And Canada is a prominent member of G7, G20, and the fourth largest oil exporter in the world. So I think these are the positive points of the Canadian economy, and it's been going on like this for a very long time. And regardless of the recent pandemic, and which affect the business environment worldwide, the Canadian economy is relatively robust, and it's not been severely affected by the COVID-19, and Canada fortunately managed to keep up its purchasing power as a government, even though the government has been providing a large amount of financial assistance to support the people and businesses throughout the pandemic. However, the concern that is always been in many economies in the world, including Canada, is the rate of inflation. And last year it was at the 30-year high of 4.8%, and with the supply chain constraint and higher oil prices, and all this add up to add to the severity of the inflation in Canada. But the Bank of Canada is trying its utmost to make sure that inflation will not be a prolonged circumstances that would affect the economy. So 2 days ago, the Bank of Canada has just recently increased the interest rate by 0.5%, with the view that it would curb the rise of the inflation, as well as the try to make sure that the property prices and the household debt levels will be controlled. And with these, given the strong economic foundations, Canadian economy should be able to spring back to where it belongs in a few years. In fact, it is forecasted that Canada's GDP, real GDP, will return to the pre-coronavirus level in 2022. And the GDP is expected to grow 5.8% last year, and it is forecasted to grow at 4% in this year as well as the next. So I think in overall perspective, the Canadian economy is still very strong, very strong.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you very much. And why the Canadian market is a great opportunity for Thai businesses And what have you done to promote your opportunities in these areas?
Oh, thank you, Al. Well, what have I done? No, I think what the embassy and the team Thailand, especially the Thai trade offices in Vancouver and Toronto, has done, in the past. Canadian economy is the service-based economy, and many industries are faced with the labor shortages during the pandemic, especially in the sectors of wholesale and retail trade, manufacturing and information, culture and recreation services. And with this, it renders enormous opportunities for Thai skilled labor to immigrate and fill the job vacancies in Canada. Or alternatively, to work remotely with Canadian employers or business partners, especially as software developers or videographers, for instance. And in 2017, the Thai Trade Office in Vancouver hosted an introductory networking session to explore the partnership opportunities between Thailand and Canada in the game industry in Vancouver. So in the next phase, we can elaborate on this smart initiative to create more business opportunities for our tech startup. This time, maybe virtually as because of a pandemic. Secondly, Canada has approximately 250 ethnic origins, and it amount to around 23% of total population. And so these are the visible minority, which are mostly Asian, and they lived in Toronto, in Montreal, in Vancouver. And these immigrants, they are growing rapidly. And as they grow, it would use a higher demand for ethnic groceries, which is especially rice, which is consistent with statistic that the Canadian ethnic food market is growing by 15% annually, while 25% of Canadian consumers purchase ethnic food and on a weekly basis. So with this ongoing and with this growing numbers of percentage in the demand for ethnic grocery, our trade offices in Vancouver and Toronto have successfully launched a number of marketing campaigns for Thai products, especially riceberry and jasmine rice, under the theme Think Rice, Think Thailand. And the campaigns are, trying to put our products both in large supermarkets and even in Thai restaurants in Canadian major cities. And we also do the campaign via popular shows on local TV programs, online magazines, social media, using young, trained Thai chef influencers. And these campaigns have certainly helped increase the imports of the Thai products in both mainstream and ethnic supermarket across Canada. And thirdly, the sales of Asian in particular, Asian fast food restaurants and cafes have increased by 500% since 1999. So, though it is quite a long time, but it is growing. It is growing, and is considered as the fastest growing restaurant category in Canada, and reflecting its success in integrating ethnic foods such as noodle soup, bubble tea into these mainstream choices, appealing similarly to local consumer and immigrants. And as of now, there are many successful new franchises in Canada, include Jollibee, Konchiki Ramen, The Alley, Uncle Tetsu, Cheesecake, Coco Fresh, Tea and Juice. So these Asian fast food franchises, they also use the Thai ingredients, the so-called ethnic ingredients that I mentioned to you earlier. Another industry that we are, promoting is the Thai restaurant in Canada. Even though Thai restaurant in Canada has always been broadly successful, why they are, mostly family run and rarely have franchises. But nevertheless, the Ministry of Commerce of Thailand established a set of common quality standards for Thai restaurants across Canada to boost consumer confidence and create a Thai brand. And we use the term Thai Select certification. I'm sure many of our listeners and viewers have heard of this before, because this Thai Select certification would guarantee the authenticity and the traditional style of cooking, and the Thai Trade Office promotes some of these Thai restaurants via various media platforms as well. And to name a few, there are two main famous Thai restaurants here in Canada. One is called Untitled, another is Manam. Both are in Vancouver, and they are recently both ranked the number 1 and number 2 best Thai restaurants in Vancouver, as the statistic compiled by the Vancouver magazine in 2021. And it featured in the Hot Thai Kitchen, a cooking show by Chef Pai, and on YouTube with 1 million subscribers. And lastly, just to add to this Thai Select thing, the Thai Trade Office in Toronto recently in 2021 launched a project with Le Cordon Bleu Culinary Arts Institute in Ottawa. And this institute is the only institute in North America, a branch of Le Cordon Bleu Institute in Paris. And they launched this initiative under the theme Taste of Thailand, Experience Thai Culinary Masterclass, featuring the famous chef Angus Ang of Manam Restaurant, which I mentioned earlier, from Vancouver. And it was a great opportunity to raise the awareness of Thai cuisine, and particularly Thai rice, Thai raspberry rice, and healthy and premium ingredients among the top class culinary experts.
Thank you. I'd like to taste the Thai food and shop and buy some ingredients in Ottawa, in Canada. So please give me some free tickets.
Definitely. On your way. On your way. On your way. Wherever you go to the Asian grocery in Canada, in Ottawa, in Toronto, in Montreal, in Vancouver, or in other major cities, you can find Thai ingredients everywhere. Whether it's Thai rice, homily rice, raspberry rice, Thai fish sauce, Thai sriracha sauce, Thai, even the ingredients like the basil leaves and other kind of ingredients, we can find it here. We can find it here because Thai food is very popular, and we are doing our utmost to keep that momentum ongoing with the help of our Canadian friends.
So, next question. Interview: what more could be done by the Royal Thai Embassy to promote Thailand's interest in Canada?
Well, we have just Thailand and Canada have just celebrated the 60th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations last year. And it was a very successful event that we had here in Ottawa, and also the Canadian Embassy in Thailand also had another event in Thailand, and it's still ongoing. The celebration is still ongoing, and I hope that we can carry the momentum forward in promoting the bilateral cooperation for mutual benefits, especially in the areas of trade and investment. You know, as I mentioned, Canada is an attractive market with high disposable income per capita. So our missions in Canada, particularly the Thai trade offices in Toronto and Vancouver, strive to increase the volume of trade with Canada, as we see a lot more unexplored potential. In this regard, you know, I welcome the launch of a negotiation for the ASEAN-Canada FTA, and it was announced since November of last year. And this is, the FTA would be a significant milestone in our trade and economic ties, because if the FTA comes into effect, the tariff would go down significantly, and it would be conducive to the increasing of trade between our two countries, and also, even the in a long-term investment between our two countries. Speaking of the investment, you know, I wish to see more foreign direct investment from Canada in Thailand, and we are trying to see which area would be the area that would create a win-win situation for both Thailand and Canada. You know, as Thailand is striving to develop a greener and more sustainable future under the BCG economic model, in accordance with the Sustainable Development Goals, you know, which is also in line with Canada's priorities to address climate crisis. So in this respect, you know, we hope to match up Canada's expertise in science and technology and innovation to our abundant skilled workforce. And however, you know, the linkages, relationship between Thailand and Canada does not stop at trade and investment only. But I think we should also look beyond that. And I wish to build upon my predecessors' achievement to enhance people-to-people ties and do what I can in my capacity to bring our two peoples closer together through promotion of tourism and educational exchanges. You know, Canadian education is highly rated and relatively affordable for international students, and I see this also as a win-win proposition. And in the future, you know, I think we must also try to promote the ecotourism for Thai tourists to come to Canada. You know, because with the vast area in Canada, which is still plenty of green area, lots of parks, and all people who tends to try to live more with nature. I think the Thai tourists who, you know, would be interested in ecotourism or green tourism would be more than welcome to visit Canada, you know, to explore, you know, a new destination here. So these are our programs in the near future, but I'm sure there'll be plenty more as the restrictive measures for COVID-19 would be relaxed more and more in the future. Thank you.
All right. Finally, just tell us about the functions of the Royal Thai Embassy in Ottawa during the pandemic.
Well, thank you for asking very good questions. I think when people talk about the Thai embassy and the Thai consulates everywhere, anywhere in the world, they talk about enhancing or bringing relations between Thailand and the respective countries closer together. But no, I think people tend to overlook another most important task. Not only the Royal Thai Embassy in Ottawa, but Royal Thai Embassy and Thai Consulate Generals everywhere around the world, is that we have to be fully committed to provide immediate and personal assistance to all Thai citizens, including those residing in Canada, as long as they still identify themselves as Thai. So during the pandemic, the embassy and our consulate general in Vancouver we had handfuls of duty in providing the assistance to the Thai nationals. Even though we have a difficult time because of the restrictive measures, we have to reach out to all the Thais and make sure that they are well taken care of. And during the pandemics, I'm sure you heard of the repatriation flights, in which Thai who are stuck overseas would like to return to be reunited with their family and all that. And likewise, in Canada, our consulate general in Vancouver and our embassy in Ottawa, I think we had a number of repatriation flights. I cannot remember the number correctly, but approximately around 30. And we managed to reunite around 1,500 Thais to return home to their families and their loved ones who are waiting for them. Apart from the consular work that I mentioned earlier, and I think our embassy in Ottawa, the Thai embassy in Ottawa, the consulate general in Vancouver, we are also striving to ensure that our task of enhancing the relation between Thailand and Canada will not be, overlooked. And we have been doing that. By organizing several important functions. To name a few, the Royal Thai Embassy organized the National Day reception to celebrate the birthday anniversary of His Majesty, the late King Bhumibol Adulyadej, Thailand Father's Day, and the National Day of the Kingdom of Thailand. And we had it on the 2nd of December of 2021. We also had another reception to celebrate the 60th anniversary of diplomatic relations between Thailand and Canada. And we also had that event on the 24th September of 2021. These are the two events, to name a few, which we had a large turnout. And it portrayed the fact that we are doing our utmost with the help of our Canadian friends from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Canada, which is known here as the Global Affairs of Canada, and also with our diplomatic colleagues, diplomatic partners from foreign embassies here in Canada. And we have been doing this, enhancing of relations between Thailand and Canada so that these closer and closer relations would be for the mutual benefits of both the Thais and Canadians alike. Thank you.
That was His Excellency Mr. กัลยาณะ วิพัฒน์ภูมิประเทศ Ambassador of Thailand to Canada, giving us the updates on Thailand's economic and investment opportunities in Canada. Thank you very much. Don't forget to follow the YouTube channel MFA Thailand and Facebook page FM88 Radio Thailand English for more updates. I have to leave now, so see you again next week. Enjoy the rest of the day. สวัสดีค่ะ
MFA Updates